What's happening, man? Impromptu. Impromptu. Um, Actually, it's not. I kind of was already. I had a topic that I already wanted to talk about, and then I ended up in a conversation that like added to that topic. So that was cool because I really was worried about having enough shit to talk about. Um, this is gonna be. I mean, they're connected, but it is gonna kind of seem like it's all over the place a little bit. You know. Uh, Big surprise, I guess. um, what order do I go in? Backwards. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense in a couple ways. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the conversation first, cause that's what was like not anticipated. Literally right before I hit the live button, right? Um, so someone in a group that I'm in asked the question, or they didn't ask a question. They were more saying anybody with experience with what feels like kind of parasitic type stuff, metaphysical parasites, um, and like you know entity type shit like jinn, succubus, incubus, you know, those type of entities. And the way that the question was asked was a little um, strange. Not strange. It was the way she put it. She added the words um, soul farm, which we had to clarify that those are two different phenomena. Like those are two different things. The concept of soul farm and or prison farm, the thing, it's all that. Zoo, it's a zoo also. Um, the concept of that, and then the concept of spiritual attack or metaphysical attack, right? Um, Very different phenomena, but as she also put it, they can be connected. I don't think that they are the same thing, and I don't think that they're connected in the way that she might have put it. Meaning, I think that those beings that are doing the memory wiping and recycling shit, in theory, those are not the same as maybe the ones that are doing the attacking. Not to say that they couldn't attack you. I think that you would have to be someone, you know, seen as important, like as an actual threat, which, arguably you could say all of us are threats. And I don't mean literally everyone on the realm, I mean all of us. The few of us that there are out of the supposed billions that there are here. That's, that's left to interpretation as to how many there are truly here, depending on who you view to be people. That's such a touchy fucking subject, man. That whole NPC thing. It's digression. It's alright. Digression's fine. I'm never meaning to be offensive to those that are even of a secondary consciousness. Of the three, if you were to look at the model of those that can see, which are usually who I'm talking to, that's who I'm looking for and talking to directly. The second would be those that can see when they're shown, which arguably could transmute themselves into being the first consciousness. I don't know. That's possible, maybe. I don't know that I don't know, what would that be? Like a demi situation? Because when people say demis are when you half and half with someone that's not, I don't know that that's how that works. You know, our DNA, our metaphysical essence DNA, the spark, whatever you want to call it, that shit's aggressive. I really don't think that we make demis. To be honest, that's just my opinion. I don't think we make those. I think that, if anything, that would be someone who is within a journey, within a progression, ascension, whatever you want to call it. I'm fucking tired of that ascension word. I'm really gonna avoid using that. So let's scoot it back to progression, shall we? Transcendence. Any other word than fucking ascension. I'm sick of that. Hey, it's funny being a pessimist. So many keep saying you're too negative, and then I see other people who are truly negative. Like all they do is kind of anyway. Fuck all that. I'm not talking about that. I had to unsub someone that their channel is just them talking shit for like 15-20 minutes, and then their community posts are just more of them talking shit. It's very strange. It's like watching, I don't believe in mental illness, but it's like watching the concept of mental illness like walk around and breathe. Anyway, so yeah, let me get back to it. She's essentially interested in the concept of attacks, metaphysical, spiritual attacks. She was using a lot of terminology that was a little confusing because they're very different things, like the concept of jinn and the concept of succubus and incubus, all very different. I'll say they're different energies, because I think that all of these things that we have within our cultures, all these legends and myths that we have, I think they're all the same. I don't see any difference between, aliens and jinn, or jinn and gods, because that would be us. So whatever those are, I mean, I really just like the term ultra-terrestrial. I think I'm kind of wanting to stick with that, to be honest. It makes the most sense from the context that's been given with the word. But to a degree, I feel like they're kind of just masquerading as us. Anyway. So yeah, the words that were used were kind of confusing, but I do get what she means. And then we kind of kicked around some answers to that question, trying to not take over, but to answer her question, if you get what I'm saying. And the answer that the homie gave her, one of the good brothers in the group gave her, was perfect. I hung around to make sure that she got square amount of input, but I didn't need to, which is, really nice to see. The answer that he gave was, look, we specifically don't need to worry about that shit. Especially those of us that have found each other, and we can share information, share experiences, find what resonates for you as your own sovereign. But at the same time, we do come from the same parent. We come from the same creator. So if you go by that logic, if I'm positive that I I not only don't need to worry about that anymore, but have plans that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. That means you don't either, you know? You just have to, you just have to know that. That's all, literally all it is that you just need to know. Once you know, there's no need to worry. You got it at that point. It's kind of like what I talked about in that hero's journey, you know, video, the hero and the fool. Like, pretty much all of it is just not giving up and not getting pushed off your, you know, off your circle. As long as you don't do that, you're good. And while we're here, you just prepare. You learn, you ask questions, you question everything, and you prepare. And that's about it. Make plans, you know. I've made some tentative plans. I added some plans today that made me laugh for a significant amount of time. I'll share those in a minute. But yeah, it was, I definitely felt for, because I think that many of us end up getting attacked in one way or another. And I think also those attacks come in forms that are many times embarrassing, or, you know, they make you feel weird about asking anybody, because you feel like you're going to be ostracized or made fun of or laughed at or called crazy. And that's intentional, you know. A lot of the stuff that happens to those that are like us, it's very difficult, because not only does it happen, but then you don't really have anybody to talk to about it. And I say that including the gigantic and growing circles that make up this weird community, or whatever you want to call it. It's my personal opinion that I don't include myself in a lot of these circles. I might poke my head in to hear some stuff, but there's a lot of shit getting, you know, perpetuated that I not only disagree with, but I fucking hate it. It's dumb and annoying, you know? An example would be just that whole soul trap shit. You know, it's not to say that I don't think that that's something that happens. And it's honestly not to say that it's something that I feel like, oh, we're too good for. That never happened to us. Not saying that. Just saying, once you are aware, that's all it takes. You just need to be aware of it. And then past that, all this focusing on like, oh, what are the instructions? You know, because I did that. I'll admit that. I did it. Brother Panic did, what, like, fucking 9 hours on instructions, what to do when you die. And I'm not, like, saying that I'm upset that I paid attention to that lecture, or that it didn't have, like, a bunch of good shit in it, because it did. Plus, I like Panic, you know. You could almost say he's one of the reasons, him and Bobby Hemmett are two of the big reasons why I decided not to, like, heavily edit my shit. These are conversations. I won't call them lectures. I'm not a fucking teacher. But, you know, these are conversations. And if I edit the fuck out of my shit, that's just gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel weird and awkward, and I won't like it. So, you know, doesn't matter if anyone else likes it. I won't like it. So if I don't like it, why the fuck would I want to put it out? You know? It just seems to make sense to me. So, yeah, but he, you know, Panic put out videos, I think it was a set of 3, but they're long, you know, Panic's videos were long anyway, a lot of the time, but, he referenced Judy K. King, who I reference a lot, and that information is still, important to me. It's just, I'm gonna, you know, I'll tell you in a minute. Scatterbrained. Essentially what I'm saying is, both the good brother and myself were of the same mind, where it's like, once you know this shit, you have the control once we get out from this. But there's specific parts to it that you kind of just have a feeling about, you know, and one of those things is that you can't unplug yourself. If you get what I mean. Unplugging yourself obviously has some kind of like negative outcome. Don't know what that is. I don't believe it's hell. I don't believe in hell. Not in the Judeo-Christian Abrahamic sense. I do believe in hell, just not in the Judeo-Christian Abrahamic sense, because we're there. Welcome. So I take that back. I do believe, but I just call it something different. It's dua, and we're there now. So welcome. If you haven't watched those videos, I have a couple videos talking about that theory, why I think that, and how it works. So check those out. Essentially, like, I think his answer was good. I think, and we plan on having like kind of more of a longer form discussion about it. That won't be posted because this is a private group, but I may talk about some of the aspects of it potentially if I have their permission and shit. But I'm not gonna use names or anything like that unless kind of given permission. But I concur with what he says. Overall, not just with this specific thing, I think one of the things that many of us are not displaying, and I've said this before, this isn't a new topic for me necessarily, or a new thought. It is a new topic, but it's not a new thought. There are so many calling themselves divine beings and having divinity and sovereign and all these things, and then they're like praying to other beings, or they're worshiping other beings rather than venerating them, which is very different. Those are very different things. I'm not saying you shouldn't venerate, because you should, but worship is not veneration. And doing like the bidding of other, beings and energies and shit, also not veneration. And I see a lot of that. That's why I say I'm not really in these circles, because it's not just the fact that I disagree, because that's okay. I'm very, very comfortable with disagreeing with others, amicably. And I don't need you to come to my side of things. I don't need to make you believe what I believe, at all. I don't need that, even in the slightest. If I'm the only one that thinks the way that I think and believes the way that I believe and knows what I know, I'm 100% okay with that. It's just that they tend to need that from me, I've noticed, and I'm not okay with that. So I'm not gonna fucking argue with you about, the concept of what? There's so much stuff. The soul trap stuff is one of them, actually. The belief systems, whether or not to worship something, period, whether or not to worship something, the Bible, like all these things, as soon as you say you have a different view of something, they go into that weird Agent Smith mode. And the funny thing is, you can't tell them that that's what they're doing, because that's like a real slap in the face, which I get that. But that's what you're doing, so I'm gonna tell you that. You want me to lie to you? But specifically, that is what you're doing when you do that. As soon as you need me to believe what you believe, rather than just sharing your perspective with me and letting me decide, dude, you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing. You're and then the fucking shades. You know what I mean? You're Agent Smith, bro. And I don't like that shit. I'm not just talking when I say I don't like that. And it's not, you know, designated just for family and friends. Like, even strangers, if you start doing that, I don't fucking like it. And I will tell you that. It happened the other day, you know. A very ugly business, by the way. It was not fucking cool. Publicly, like within this group that I'm talking about, that happened. And you know, I won't say it was a test, because obviously I didn't know that this was going to happen, and I didn't position it that way, but I did pay attention to what happened after that to see if I was going to continue within this group. And kind of one by one, they came to me and were like, hey, sorry, that was fucked up. And so, you know me, no hard feelings. I'm not going to do that with family. But that one person, that one being, though, fuck that one person, because that's a person, not a being. You know, fuck you, man. That's just what it is. Like, I don't respond well to that. You know, I'm not. When I say that I am. Like, okay, I'll say that in a different way, because some don't read, so like the I am thing, they just say it, but they don't know what that means. When I say that I consider myself, or not even consider, because that's me speaking for you, other. I am a divine being. I am a deity. I know that in here. So, what the fuck do I look like letting you tell me what I think, or what I know, or what I believe, or that you know more than me because of some fucking fake years of time that you have more of than me? What sense does that make? So, I'm a deity sometimes, but then when you talk, I'm not. Why the fuck would I do that, you know? So I just, it's frustrating, but like, I mean that when I say it to everyone. There's no, and it is frustrating. It's difficult. Like, same way with those beings that have been in my life since my, you know, birth, if we want to call it that. I don't know, this avatar's birth, let's call it that. My mom, known her as long as I can remember. Same thing there. You're not going to tell me what I believe. You're not going to tell me what I think. No one is going to do that. It would make very little logical sense for me to regard myself the way that I do, and then let you tell me how to be in any sense. That doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense at all. You know? So, that didn't that didn't go too well. But, you know, I bring that up because of the kind of more recent points that I've been making here, is that there's a great majority within these circles that are showing these weird contradictions and dualities that, like, I look for those. I look for those in you, and then if I notice it, as long as it's not malicious, I won't say anything to you. I'll just kind of like tiptoe backwards like fucking Peter Griffin, you know? Hit the old dusty trail. You know what I mean? Because, like, you know, not to make it dramatic, but you might get me fucking pulled out the game before I'm done. You know? I'm doing shit. I'm doing stuff. And just because I don't tell you what that stuff is doesn't mean that I'm not doing it. Obviously. Right? So if you're still very, like, here-minded, and if you're still, on the fence with these things that I am not on the fence about, then we're not the same. We're not doing the same thing. We're not of the same, whatever. I don't know what to call that, But you get what I'm saying. Like, and that's not, none of this is me saying I'm better than anyone, because I don't care about that. It's not even something that I consider. That's another one. The whole concept of being better than another being. If you start to talk like that, I'm gonna stop talking to you. Like, this is a in totality type thing, and I don't even think I have to think that hard about it. It's just something that I see now, something that I notice. If you talk weird for what we all are, what some of us are claiming to be and what some of us are, I'm not gonna start an argument with you. I'm not gonna, do follow-up questions to give you a chance to explain or anything like that. I'm not saying I'll just dip out on the first thing that I notice, but once I notice and really get the picture of like, oh, this is not what I thought it was, I'm going to dip. I don't have the energy for that. Meaning I'm not giving, I do, but I'm not giving it, I guess is a better way to say it. And I think that's healthy. I think more should probably be doing that, to be honest. Don't just fucking kick it with people because they talk like what they think you talk like. Not what you talk like, but what they think you talk like. Because that's what it essentially is happening. It's happened to me a bunch, like a whole bunch of times. And it's led me, I've been following that, and it feels beautiful. I'm not just kicking it in certain circles because of how I look, or because of how I talk, or because of what I believe. I'm following intuition, literally following intuition, and not getting hung up on vocabulary or on, topics of discussion. I can feel who is and who is not. And that is working, and I'm going to keep using that. And by no means am I saying is that 100%, accurate, or that, we're just like anybody else, dude. It's the same thing. The reason that I like old epics and odysseys like Homer and Socrates and Plato and all these things, those archetypes and those stories are still very, very, accurate for today. Those deities in those stories are us. So, all this shit that's been perpetuated very recently about what gods are, that's not true. It says it in these texts, made in our image. So they're the influencer people are telling you you need to be these specific ways to be godly, or to be deities, or to be divine beings, or whatever the fuck they, star seeds and all that shit. You don't just learn stuff. You're already you. Why are you letting someone else change who you are in totality? Just learn stuff and progress. Don't become this different person that you don't even like. You know what I mean? That sounds confusing, but it's not, though. That's not confusing. Don't change stuff that you don't want to change about you, right? Yeah. That's not confusing. Don't change stuff you don't want to change. If you view it as positive or beneficial to you, it's not hurting anyone, why the fuck are you letting them tell you to change it? And I mean that all the way around, even with stuff that they're really beating you over the head with, like meat. If you eat meat, then just fucking eat meat. You know? Like, are there upsides to not eating meat? Sure. Are there downsides to not eating meat? Yes. Yes, there are. It balance is one of my favorite. It's like my main thing. Anytime someone comes at me with some super extreme shit, I'm like, you know what? I don't fucking like that ever, because it's nothing works like that in this experience. At least not this one. I don't know about other ones because I don't remember other ones. You know? But this one, balance, is a pretty good rule of thumb. Just generally speaking, about anything. Sometimes you have to go to an extreme one way or another, but I feel like if you just follow your intuition, you know when that is. And then you bring it back to balance. Don't fucking stay there. Just handle what you need to handle and bring it back to balance, whether that's positive or negative. You know? This topic warped a little bit. The other topic is still going to be there. I'm still going to talk about it, but this is a good one too. You know, the concept of like everyone wants to control you right now. Have you noticed that? All these little fucking groups and cults and shit, they all want to tell you what you are as a being, as a deity, as a sovereign. Isn't that fucking weird to anybody else? Because that's weird to me. I don't fuck around with that. I've dipped on a few that I've learned a good bit from. There were definitely big pillars along my you know, path up the stairs, path down the path, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, you know, philosophizing. Yeah, I've dipped on a few, cause like I'm not gonna be in your fucking cult, bro. Like, contradictions don't float past me like it seems like is happening with a lot of beings right now. That's happening like a lot, and it's very strange when I watch it happen. And I look around, and not many. There's always like one or two other beings that are like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, "Cool," because if it was just me, I'd be like, "All right, so everyone's nuts." You know, teachers not knowing what they're teaching, just saying shit, and no one there's like a room of 200 people and no one says anything. They're just teaching bullshit. That's happened like a good number of times, you know? And they like, it's really inflated egos. They're like, I'm the shit. I know a whole bunch and you should give me a bunch of money. It's just very weird. It's very weird. There's a whole section that I've left alone. And one of them I've talked about like a lot. I still have a deep reverence for this dude. But whatever the fuck is going on now with him, I can't go along with you on that. I'm past that. As much as I hate to say that in that way, if you want to be stuck here doing that, then you do that. I think there's like a fame aspect to it that's, I don't know. I'll take that back. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I do know that that's material. What that being is doing, that one of the beings that has taught me a good bit is stuck in the material with what they're talking about and what they're trying to perpetuate and do within this experience. And I'm not gonna go with you on that. I think Bobby Hemmett dipped because he realized what I've realized, and I don't need to ask him that. I know it. I know that's why he no longer teaches. There might be some other shit too, some other like aspects of it that maybe he was like, I need to be done or I'm tired, you know? He went through some hell shit, I know that, but like I also know that he knows what I know because I heard him say something and it wasn't very specific, but I know that that's what he meant, you know? And it was, don't join these fucking groups. And at first I was like, yeah, but my group's okay. You know what I mean? And then I realized, no, because it changed. I looked around and I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is a cult now. I'm out. Instantly, as soon as I noticed it. But it's not just the cults though, dude. It's influencers and shit. Everyone wants you to be what they want you to be. They want you to use their vernacular. They want you to use their fucking, verbiage. They want you to join their fucking Patreon and become their, like, whatever their fans are called. It's gross, man. It's fucking gross. And then they all call themselves these varying versions of, like, aliens and deities and, Galactic Federation Star Childrens and all this shit. It's very dumb. And it's very awkward because I'm a social being, that we are social beings. Our family, we are social beings. That is, if you think about why we're here and you think about the things that we do here and you look at the texts that say why we did some of the things that we do, we're social. We kick it around each other constantly when shit's normal. When shit's regular, we just hang out all the time, which sounds awesome. But that's for later, I guess. Business at hand first, I guess, right? I don't know. I'm going to keep talking about that because it makes me sick. I look around at it and it makes me disgusted at many, many, many beings. In a similar way to the whole, what's that word? What's that thing I hate? Capitalism. It's just like that. Also fucking gross. And seemingly addictive, I guess. I've never understood it. Never enjoyed it either. Just, the stuff that it is attached to. Obviously, I gotta eat. I used to care more about clothes. Like, I didn't. I just liked representing things on my t-shirts. I liked being able to say something to you without opening my mouth. So I would wear t-shirts to make, like, statements. So that's not true. I didn't really give a fuck about fashion even then. That was just like, I still like doing that. I still like wearing something that lets you know what's up. Or like, they're like puzzles. I got a jacket, a purple jacket that's got the sigil on it. And, no one spotted it yet, so. Oh well. Digressing a lot. Actually, I'm not. I'm on topic. But it's going to get looked at as digressions. What's up with the fucking attention spans? What's the problem? And I'm not asking because of my videos specifically, just like, conversations are weird. Having conversations are fucking weird. If beings aren't trying to, like, wait until they get to talk, they can't hold a full conversation. After a good 5-10 minutes, they're like, all right, man, well, and they just make some shit up. It's like, wow, I used to talk to people for longer. I feel like hanging out, definitely hanging out. Man, we used to hang out forever. We would, dude, we still had fucking sleepovers from a technical, we didn't call them that, obviously, but we were having sleepovers when I was fucking 23, 24. Everybody just fucking hang out, get fucked up, watch movies, listen to music, play music. And it's not to say that that's just disappeared. Obviously. fucking different priorities. I got a kid and shit. Just the attention span thing is essentially what I'm saying. Like, what's up with everybody? And don't say fucking TikTok. It's not just TikTok. There's something happening to everybody where you don't have attention spans. It's very strange. You know what? There is, there's more than one, but there's one that comments on all the videos, and I'm watching her. I think it's a her. Don't fucking misgender me. That's not nice, but it is true. I think it's a her. But I'm watching them. I'm watching them move through the videos, and it's really cool because, like, I don't need a bunch of people to watch me necessarily. I'm looking for specific beings. So even if it's like 10 or 15 on every video, like, that's plenty, bro. You know what I mean? Let's get to Hancocking in this. That's a movie, Hancock, not saying the expletive. It's a movie about deities. Hancock. Go watch Hancock. I'm not gonna fucking explain that. Fuck. But I do. That warms my heart because it makes me feel like, oh, you probably are, like, you know. And they're still like, and they're still shy, like anonymous, but they're gonna grow out of that because we all do. We start off very, like, freaked out about this place and like, what the fuck is everybody here type energy, like, type shit. But then you're like, you know what, fuck everybody except for my people, except for my brothers and sisters. And then when you do that, you're just like, I don't give a fuck. So whenever that happens, I already told you, hit me up. Email or Instagram or whatever. So yeah, I just, and I think there are some that are kind of taking offense when I do that, but I just think that you shouldn't be, if you view yourself as a divine being or as a deity or whatever you want to call yourself, why would you let influencers impede or impose upon your own sovereignty? It doesn't make any sense to me. And so I've been ducking a lot. You know, it's not necessarily personal, and it's not like I'm trying to be rude, but I would rather just dip from conversations with those beings than to, like, end up in that weird circle where they're even if they don't mean to, they're trying to make you believe what they believe, even in the argument about them doing that. How do you, okay, so maybe you don't see it the first, iterations of that, but then when I say to you that that's what you're doing, how do you not see that you're doing that then? Because you explaining what you're doing is you still trying to get me to be on, on your thing. So, like, I don't know, small groups, I guess. And I'm not trying to make anyone think like I think in that sense. It's just that is what's comfortable for me. And I don't want to be anybody's fan. That's not why I'm doing any of this shit. The tribe thing, I think, is cool, but I think that that's been taken. I think that that's been taken from us, much like, civil rights movement. That wasn't real. There's documentation on it now, just like there's documentation about fucking rap. Like, we have to be able to see these things. We have to be able to recognize and know these things before they bite us. And I'm trying to say that now with these metaphysical circles and, these influencers that want you to invest in their business and then they don't answer you anymore after you give them your money. Not that I give a fuck about money. I'm just proving a point, you know? Billy Carson. You know what I mean? Billy Carson. Fuck that nigga, bruh. There's lots of scamming and hurtful stuff going around. And those beings that are doing that shit's kind of just like laughing to the bank with it. And not to say that that's not going to come back around, because it is. You know, we won't forget that. But I just figure we talk about it, maybe you'll avoid it beforehand. But if they're not doing that, they're forming cults, and I think that that's kind of, whether they want your money or they want your energy, you know, one is way more significant than the other. But to you, it potentially is not, depending on who you are, you know, because there are many that haven't really transcended the concept of money. That's apparent. I put out a short today that kind of like encapsulates that not really, actually it's just saying what we could try doing, what I think we should try doing. It doesn't really encapsulate the whole fuck money thing, but I don't think I need to do that. I feel like that's a pretty clear statement that doesn't need a lot of explanation. Money's fucking dumb. Look what it's done to us. You know, I don't feel like I need to explain that too hard. Billy Carson's not the only one, by the way. There's many, many, many of them. The fucking webinars and selling our family's information back to us when we all need it. We all should have it. If you got it first, you're a fucking... Yeah, I mean, use a bitch for that. You know what I mean? If you sell your family's information back to them, you're a fucking... That's lame. That's not cool to do. But you know, Billy Carson would be one, but there's a good number of them. That's not the same thing as like donations and shit like that. People that want to donate to you, I think that that's beautiful. That's a very, very positive interaction. I got my first donation today. That shit was sick, you know. And it felt kind of like, you know, when you open your own business and your brother comes in and like buys something from you. But that's still cool. That's still good. You know what I mean? Encouraging. But all that other stuff where you're just coming up with reasons to have webinars, that shit's fucking bogus, man. Anyway, that was kind of the first topic, though, even though it sounds very negative. I am a pessimist. I will continue to remind of that. Traditional pessimist is a realist. It is not a negative person. It is someone who looks at things around them and says what they are. If I looked around and everything was fucking sick, I'd be like, hey, this is sick, bro. You know what I mean? I'd be like, hey, this is tight. I like this shit. Let's do more. That's not what I see, though, you know? So I'm not going to do that. That would be lying. I'm not going to do that. This shit is gay. This shit sucks right now. That's just what it is. Oh. So look. I talk about how things seem to be like inverted a lot, right? And I also talk about how if something gets pushed really, really hard, my inclination is to kind of go the opposite direction, because that's what this place is like, in my opinion. Doesn't always work like that. You have to kind of use your discernment. But I was thinking about that in terms of like planning. And up until today, my plan was to try to follow what Panic got from Judy K. King's work, which detailed instructions on how to get the fuck out of here and not, you know, even potentially be propositioned. Well, no, they'll proposition you because you always will get the proposition, but you fucking turn around and go the other way because stranger danger, you know, that the proposition's coming from a fuck boy, and you have to know that. You have to remember that. And you have to be able to retain that when this avatar goes. That's kind of the concept there. But they're very detailed instructions, and it's kind of annoying to like beat all of that into your head, especially coming from Panic. I wish somebody would like do another version of those instructions that are just the instructions. Because, you know, Panic, I love you, buddy, but fuck, you know. He's way worse than me. 3, 4, 5 hour long. And he's like telling stories in between him and shit. And, you know, you're sitting up like, okay, pot calling the kettle black. But literally, I don't do 3, 4, and 5 hour long videos, you know? So it is still different. But I get your point. I do wish that, though. I do wish somebody would, like, kind of just do the instructions. I might do that. I might do that in Panic's honor, actually. Yeah, I think I might do that, actually. Because I haven't seen another being do the instructions specifically other than Panic. I still need to read her book. I don't get a lot of time to read, and when I do, it's usually like a very specific book saga that I love that has morphed me as a fucking deity. Or I'm listening to lectures and shit, and interviews and studies and all that stuff. So, don't get a lot of time to read books. And her shit's not an audiobook. Judy K. King. The ISIS thesis. I've spoken about it before, but I'll say it again. The ISIS thesis. Very, very cool work. Very informative if you're us. He extrapolated the instructions, detailed instructions on what to do to get the fuck out of here and not come back. That's what it's called. How to Die and Not Come Back is what it's called. Brother Panic, if you're interested. But it is an exercise in, it's an exercise in attention span. Because, like I said, one video is like 3 hours, 2 hours. And all the instructions are not in one video. I mean, it's either genius or he's like me and talks a good bit. Anyway, so I was thinking about all that, and while I do think that there's something to going that way, because the texts across the board, you know, kind of support that, I think I'm going to go that way first. Do some stuff, you know? I'm going to go that way first and do some stuff. And there is potentially also an exit that way. But that's not the only reason that I would go that way. It's not just the exits, because actually there's potentially more than one exit that way. But it's to, pop in on some pusillanimous beings and have some conversations, do some stuff, you know? I like that, dude. When I thought about that, when I had that kind of, it's not an epiphany, I don't know what to call that, but when I had that thought, there we go, it's just a thought. But it's not, it's a plan. When I thought that plan, yeah, that works. I laughed for a significant amount of time. It's very satisfying plan. Very satisfying addition to an already planned plan. Yeah. And that's why I said all that stuff up top, because it's like, if you know, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. And I want to do that, so I'm gonna. You know? Um, and I think it's gonna be fun. It might be some weirdness, but not fun. It'll be rewarding, I guess is what I mean to say. It'll be rewarding, and I'm gonna do it, and then I'll go up, unless there's, like I said, unless there's some exits down there, which I do believe there are. But if there aren't, I'll do some shit down there, and then I'll go up. It's just that if a lot of the people that go up are being propositioned with this bright light and whatnot, everyone says to turn around, and I'm like, but what if turning around means to go down rather than up? Because, well, you think you're going to go up to a finite level and then you can either go forward or backward? So that doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense to me. What makes sense to me is that way or turn around that way. That's what makes sense to me. So I'm going to do that. And is there a fear of being wrong? Nope. I could give a fuck. I don't care. If it does end up not being the thing, then whatever. I'll turn around, This is very freeing. I know some are going to hear this and be like, hey, this dude's fucking nuts. Going down? You're going to go down on purpose? Yeah. Yep. And I'm not going to immediately look for exits. Like, I'm going down there and I'm going to do some shit first. And then I'll find exits. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Because this has been that much fun that I feel like I need to thank those that had anything to do with it. It's been that much fun. Yeah. So I've been thinking of ways to kind of I've been trying to think of different resources to look into that concept. So far, all I've got is the ISIS thesis. But if anyone has any resources that maybe reference going down instead of up, hit me up, bruh. Let me know. Send me that shit, bruh. Because, it's honestly just to corroborate. It's not going to change my thought. I'm going to do it regardless. Just, it would be cool to, like I usually do, have some stuff to point at and be like, oh, because of this and this and over here and then over there. Why do I do that? Why do I... That's slightly racist. Canaanites. Alright, I'll stop. Yeah, but I thought that was interesting at first, and I was like, that's crazy. That's a crazy thought. But now it's like, yeah, I'm doing that. That's gonna happen. I like it now. So, I don't know. I don't know of many resources, though. There's just, obviously Duat, but I think we're here now. I think this is that. So, and, contextually, if it were so terrible, why are they all running there right now? They do that every 138 years. They all run underground. So if it's so terrible down there, why are you going there? And then also, fake campaigns. There's a story of a borehole that they were trying to make the largest hole on the planet, on the realm, borehole. and it led to an audio clip that that's purported to be fake, of just a grip of people screaming in agony. But I don't believe in hell, so either that's just like a giant tank of people down there being experimented on, which is probably the case, then that is otherwise, kind of psyopy. Like, hey, don't go down there. It's scary down there. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of different examples of you being led to not go down versus going up in a metaphysical sense. And it's not just metaphysical, it's from the sense of like much of what you're told here affects what your being will remember to do once you transcend. And so what I'm proposing is a lot of what you're seeing now maybe positioning you to make potentially a mistake on what you decide to, much like, okay, so going into the light, there are many now that are kind of starting to notice a trend where beings go into the light and then feel as though they've been recycled. So what I'm proposing is, if that is the case and many beings are telling each other, hey, don't go into the light, turn around, don't be fearful, turn around, what I'm saying is, rather than thinking of it from a linear standpoint, like how we do this whole, like, you're gonna go up like it's an elevator and then you're gonna reach a level, there's a magical level that you stop at and then you can either go forward or backward. That's dumb. I think what they mean is, turn around. Don't go that way. Turn around. Why else would you make up hell? Why else would you make up all of these stories about different reasons not to go down, but then you have bunkers and shit down there? And these aren't new bunkers. They're not new civilizations down there. These are all ancient, ancient. I don't believe in that term, really, because time is a complete fabrication. But they're not new. Let's say it like that. Every 138 years there is an event. All of the beings that have a grip of money just happen to sell all their shit and disappear. And where do they go? Down. Right? So I don't just think that's a physical thing. I think that's also metaphysical, and you can see the delineations where it's like, hey, you don't want to go down, that's where the devil is, when that guy's not real. Or you don't want to go down, that's where hell is, also not real. So I added that to my plan. And like I said, I'm not just going to look for like the exit to the simulation. I'm gonna fuck some people up first. I'm gonna fuck some beings up first for, just to, I think that feels necessary to me. For the good time I was shown here. You know what I mean? For the good time I was shown here, I'm just gonna do some stuff before I skedaddle, before I hit the old dusty trail. I have thought that through. I'm still thinking, but I'm not though. I'm not thinking it through. I've already thought it through. That's just what I'm gonna do because it makes the most sense to me. I get it now. Like this whole experience is so two-dimensional and fake and dumb that once you start to see it, if you follow that and don't resist it, more and more of it becomes apparent. You just have to like follow the dots. Like, I'm not making leaps of faith in these things that I've said. Hell, not real, made up, was added to the Bible. That is not an original concept of that text. Not an original concept of that text. You know, the devil, same thing. These are all clues to me. And because those are clues, I'm going to use the rest of that, you know, context and say, oh, you don't want me to go down. So I'm gonna. And I'm excited about it. You know what I mean? Might even mean that physical, you know, like physically. Beforehand, you know? But that one kind of depends on my preparedness, what supplies I have and how many, you know, others may potentially or may potentially not be with me. But definitely after. That's in the plans, that's in the books. For sure. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. I like that. What's up, good sister? Oh, you got a call. Man, I want you to come in, but we didn't talk about it first. And I'm talking about wild shit right now, huh? I'm talking about wild shit right now, so you might not want to come in on this one, huh? That's okay. That's okay. I am excited about this, though. Very funny to me. And I think it'll be fun, you know? Taking into account, like I said, this experience and how much fun it's been, I think doing what I'm saying will be equally, if not more fun. This is the point where I start to digress unless I have another topic. I don't think I do. Alright, man. I think I might fucking kick off and go talk to a good sister of mine. Okay, I love you, bro.